This is the Bat Bomb, officially known as Project X-Ray. It was an experimental incendiary weapon developed by the United States during World War II. It relied upon the natural instincts of bats and was designed to set Japanese industrial complexes on fire. The Bat Bomb had the outside structure of a conventional aerial bomb. It was composed from 3 main sections: the body, the tail, and the explosive payload, with up to 1,040 tightly packed bats. The bats used to fill the compartments were Mexican free-tailed bats. They were chosen for the ability to enter a state of torpor. When subjected to low temperatures, they became dormant and could be stored in trays and transported without food or water. Once warmed, they revived quickly and took flight. The body of the bomb was a cylindrical container with straight vertical sides and a cone-shaped bottom. The container measured 5 feet in length. It was made from sheet metal and had walls perforated with small holes for air circulation to keep the bats alive during flight. The container of the prototype we recreated was packed with 26 trays stacked vertically, each 30 inches in diameter. Each tray resembled an egg carton and contained 31 compartments, 1 for each bat. The trays were secured to each other by short strings at the edges, with open sides facing down. Each bat packed inside the bomb was armed with an incendiary device. A 0.6-ounce napalm-filled cellulose capsule was personally designed by Dr. Louis Fieser, the inventor of napalm. Napalm was made from aluminium naphthenate and aluminium palmitate mixed with gasoline. It proved to be especially effective inside the wooden structures common in Japan during World War II. The capsule was glued directly to the bat's fur. The bats were placed freely inside the compartments, with the ignition trigger from an incendiary capsule on their chest tied to the compartment wall. To wake bats from their state of torpor, a heater system was installed inside the container. The tail assembly housed a parachute and an automatic mechanism for releasing the bats and deploying the parachute. On the outside, the tail assembly was fitted with 4 side vanes and a cylindrical central vane. They funneled and accelerated the air into the 4-bladed arming propeller at the top of the bomb, ensuring its rotation. The propeller was linked to an aircraft altimeter, responsible for activating and deploying the mechanism at a set altitude. The bomb was delivered to the target area by a B-25 Mitchell medium bomber. After release, it initially fell like an ordinary bomb. Tail vanes guided it down in the vertical descent. Meanwhile, the warming unit increased the container's temperature to rouse the bats from their sleep. At 4,000 feet, an optimal altitude for the bats to reach the targets, the altimeter signaled a parachute to deploy, while simultaneously activating a mechanism that split the seams on opposite sides of the container, jettisoning the shell. The trays dropped to the ends of their strings, forming a column roughly 8.5 feet long beneath the parachute. As the trays spread, each bat would slide from its upside-down compartment onto the top of the tray below, which then became its launching platform. At the same time, short strings connecting the triggers to the compartment walls were pulled out, activating the time delay mechanism of the ignition trigger. The bats swung down through the air on a stable platform and orientated themselves before taking flight. The light made the bats quickly seek shelter. Rafters in wooden factories and hangars proved ideal hiding spots. After they'd found a proper hiding place, the bats calmed down, making them hard to spot. The ignition trigger was a mechanical delay pencil-type detonator, tiny enough to fit in the incendiary capsule. Inside the detonator was a striker held in place by a thin wire. Once triggered, the wire was slowly corroded by a copper chloride solution. Once the wire weakened enough, it broke, releasing the striker. The striker's sharp needle point was then driven forward by spring pressure and hit a specially made match head. The match lit instantly, also igniting the incendiary capsule. the ignition produced a 10-inch flame that would burn for about 4 minutes. Given the widespread use of wood in Japanese construction, even a single device was capable of setting an industrial-sized hall ablaze. A twin-engine B-25 had capacity for 25 bombs, delivering more than 20,000 bats in total. But the unpredictable behavior of the animals produced too many variables. Bats were not able to be guided to specific targets. At Carlsbad testing ground, armed bats set fire to friendly assets, including a hangar and a fuel tank.